Good morning, child of God. This is Pastor Francis Musonda from Life Path Worship Center in Ibex Hill, Lusaka, Zambia. Today is Monday, the 12th of April 2021, and we are back with the morning devotion. I would like to thank my daughter in faith, Sandra, who took the sessions last week on letting go. What a fantastic time in the presence of God that we had. We learned on how we can let go and permit the will of God to take hold in our lives. Sandra, may God bless you and give you more grace to teach as you've been called to teach to the multitudes. Today, I am so privileged to be able to announce a new series as we start looking at signs and wonders. And if you like, you can simply call it the supernatural. We're looking at signs and wonders, and if you like, you can call it the supernatural. Our anchor scriptures for this study that we're about to embark on include the following. Number 1, we're looking at Acts chapter 2, verse 43. Number 2, we're looking at John chapter 4, verse 48. Number 3, we're looking at John chapter 14, verse 12. These are our anchor scriptures for the study we're about to embark on. Child of God, in preparing this study, I have referenced to the following books, and that will act as a pillar for us to be able to advance in our studies. I have looked at number 1, Signs and Wonders Today, written by Dr. David Oyedepo. I've also looked at Walking in the Miraculous. What a fantastic book, a must read, also written by Dr. David Oyedepo. I've referenced to a book called Creating the Supernatural. Creating the Supernatural, also written by Dr. David Oyedepo. I've also looked at a few more additional books. The next one is Releasing the Supernatural, again by the same author, David Oyedepo. And last but not least, I've also looked at Commanding the Supernatural, something that we need to do as Christians all the time when we get up in the morning. Command your morning, command the supernatural, also written by David Oyedepo. Now, you would ask and say, well, do signs and wonders happen these days? My answer is yes, they do, and they're supposed to. So what are some of the course objectives that we want to achieve at the end of this study? Number 1, child of God, we would like to bring ourselves to a level of understanding who we are and what we're worth in the kingdom. Who we are and what we're worth in the kingdom. Number 2 objective, to understand what it takes to walk in the miraculous. By the end of this study, you will firmly understand what the miraculous is, and you'll be able to operate in the miraculous. Number 3, to understand how to work miracles. How do you work miracles, child of God? You as a child of God already have the DNA of God in your blood. Life is in the blood, the DNA is in the blood, and if your Father can do miracles, you too can do miracles. Number 4, to expose ourselves to the kingdom mysteries. And also not only expose ourselves to the kingdom mysteries, but also understand or gain knowledge in the application of working of miracles. How do you apply that knowledge in the application of working of miracles? This is an exciting study, and I know that as we continue in this study, you will surely be blessed, and it will change your dimension in terms of your understanding about your capabilities. Child of God, you are fully loaded, and I'm about to explore that potential, provoke that potential, so you too can flow in the signs and wonders, or simply put, the supernatural. A few definitions I think would be appropriate so that we can set a stage. What are signs? Signs are events that cannot be explained, and these are signs that cannot be denied. So events that cannot be explained, but events that cannot be denied. In other words, signs have undeniable impact. The impact is always felt. You cannot deny the impact. And number 2, signs are products of God's power triggered by desperate faith of men when you desperately want to see something happen and your faith levels rise to that point, you can trigger the miraculous to happen. That can be found in Acts chapter 3 verse 1 to 9, and I'll be reading these scriptures just to take you through. Maybe we need to slow down so that we understand this important topic. Number 3, it's still in defining signs. The occurrence of events, the occurrence of an episode, the occurrence of a matter beyond the ordinary. Beyond the ordinary. You can reference this to Genesis chapter 1 and look at the creation, and that will give you a good context. When God was creating the world or the earth, He was actually performing signs and wonders. Signs are also defined as the finger of God at work. Now, child of God, that is our definition for signs. Let us look at wonders. Wonders are the manifestation of the mighty hand of God. When something manifests out of a deliberate intervention out of the mighty hand of God, you have your wonder. Wonders are also defined as the acts of God that make people to become amazed, that make people to wonder what just happened. You can also define wonders as the manifestation of God's ability that lead a man to a state of amusement. The manifestations of God's abilities that lead a man to a state of amusement. Acts chapter 14 verse 8 to 11. Let's talk a little bit about miracles. Then we can move on to see some of the signs and wonders that God Himself did at the point of creation, so we can cement our foundation. Now, a miracle is something that is beyond human ability. Miracles, this could refer to end times or our current times. And I can tell you, child of God, in today's sophisticated world, people are looking for signs and wonders. They're looking for miracles. People have been devastated. There are things happening in their lives. People have been bewitched. People have been spoken words which are negative, spells, incantations, things that have worked against people, and they're looking for solutions. And God, as He would have it, He has put the DNA of signs and wonders, the miraculous, loaded in our bloodline, which mimics the DNA of God. Matthew chapter 24 verse 6 to 8. We, child of God, as believers, we are manifestations of the miraculous. Our salvation is a total miracle. Now, signs and wonders are God's supernatural miracles, or God's supernatural miraculous power breaking into the natural world of a man and doing what is impossible by natural physical laws. So you have your physical laws by Isaac Newton telling you about the first law of motion, second law of motion, third law of motion. When the signs and wonders come into being, all these laws are defined. Now, in the book of John, in fact, broadly speaking, not just the book of John, if you look at just the four Gospels, the major four Gospels, there are 7 signs and wonders that are referred to that pertain to what Jesus did in His ministry. There were 7 signs and wonders that Jesus did in His ministry, from the time that He started to the time that He ended. Now, I'm already running out of time, and I have just started laying the foundation. But if you allow me, I would just want to end on the point where we refer to what Jesus did as signs and wonders. We'll then look at what God the Father did as signs and wonders. We could go on listing these, but these are very important so that you can actually understand where we are going with this teaching. Number 1, Jesus changed water into wine at Canaan in John chapter 2 verse 1 to 11. This was the first. The healing of the royal official's son in Capernaum is found in John chapter 4, verses 46 to 54. That is the second one. The third wonder or the miraculous is the healing of the paralytic at Bethsaida in John chapter 5, verse 1 to 15. Then Jesus moved on to feeding the 5,000. We know about this miracle because it's found in John chapter 6, verse 5 to 14. And those people that are into the habit of leftovers, they love this scripture because so many baskets full were picked up from 2 little fish and 5 loaves of bread. Jesus walking on water, John chapter 6, verse 16 to 24. This is the miraculous. These are wonders. Jesus healing the blind man from birth in John chapter 9, verse 1 to 7. And indeed, the resurrection of Lazarus, the man that was dead in the cave, being the seventh one. Jesus concluded with that miracle. Now, child of God, it's already 10 minutes, and I don't want you to start pointing an accusing finger at me. Say, Pastor Francis, you're supposed to stop at 10. I'm excited. This is a loaded topic. There's so much to delve into. Tomorrow, child of God, same time, we'll start by looking at the 7 signs and wonders that God the Father himself in Genesis chapter 1 came up with. So 7 signs and wonders for Jesus, 7 signs and wonders for God the Father at the start of creation. This is Pastor Francis Musonda from Life Path Worship Center in Ibex Hill, Lusaka, Zambia. I will be back tomorrow, same time. Shalom, shalom. Stay blessed.